Welcome to the Release Your Blocks podcast. I am your host, Victoria Bond. I am a spiritual empowerment coach. I help teach others to show up to their potency so they can fulfill their mission here on earth. I am so glad you are here. And if you are interested in becoming a medium, if you're interested in becoming a life coach, or if you're interested in shifting your life from the 3D to live more in the 5D reality, then check me out, book a clarity call, and let's get chatting.
Okay, so hey, thank you so much for joining us today, Victoria.
Hello!
It's so good to see you. Victoria's over in New Zealand, and Victoria and I have known each other, I don't know, a little over a year, maybe even 18 months, Victoria.
Yeah, 18 months to 2 years. It's been a while, yeah.
It's been a while. We did a program together and we really connected, so we stay in touch, and I've done some work with Vic. And so Victoria's a spiritual empowerment coach. And the reason I wanted to bring her to you guys is because I think that there's a real call for women to step into their intuition and their spirituality, but there's also a bit of a stigma attached to it sometimes. So I just wanted to talk to someone who I know is fabulous. So, you know, I love Victoria because she's got both the super woo-woo and the super down-to-earth. And, you know, that's what I love in people. That's what I try and embody myself. So, Vic, first explain to us what that is. What is it, a spiritual empowerment coach?
Okay, so you've had a session with me as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're both coaches. We both work in our own niches and our own kind of unique superpowers. So that's what I do. Is I empower people just like you do to bring out their superpowers. And I do this on a spiritual sense. So whether I'm business coaching or whether it's like relationships or whether it's finances, whatever it is, even if it's just literally enhancing people's superpowers, I help to empower people to know what they already know. So as you know, Nicky, as coaches, we're very rarely telling people things. We're kind of like projecting it back, asking them to bring up their own answers, because as infinite beings, which I believe we are, we've never started and ended. We always have been, but just in different forms. I totally believe that we have everything within us to transform. So there's different levels, there's different dimensions, and a lot of people are getting stuck in this 3D, 4D reality. I'm helping people to jump, to quantum leap, to collapse timelines, so then they can function more from this 5D reality. And I'm empowering them to do that, because we all need someone to hold our hand and support us.
And to even accept it and take it on. Like, I know when I talk now about some of the quantum leaps that I've had during all the stuff that's gone on for me in the last 6 months, and people kind of go like, yeah, they'll put it down to coincidence or luck or things like that. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I bent time. This is unbelievable. I literally just had to get my son home from Adelaide when the borders shut down. Unheard of. Like, magical shit happened. You know what I mean? And it's like, but to have a belief in that and to have a faith in that, I think someone like you have to have someone like you, Vic, who's saying, yeah, let's notice it. Let's trust it. Let's stop thinking in the logical. Yeah.
That's what I love about coaches. We had the same coach for quite a while. And then we all move on with different coaches and so on and so forth. And people come to us and they move on and all that type of stuff. And I think it's really important to have someone supporting you that can see you and that is with you, not for motives or agendas or anything like that. It's purely going, you know what, can you support me? And they're going, yes. You know, we're not your friend. We're not, I mean, of course we can coach our friends, but it's a different dynamic, or we have to, put our friendship aside while we're coaching. And it's really about holding the space for those people to be seen, to be heard, to activate. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing as coaches, which isn't talked about a lot, is we're helping to activate other people. Because we've got things that they don't have and vice versa. When we come together, we create an activation and people start enhancing, they start growing, they start doing all these things. And it's really, I don't know, this whole coaching thing, my husband said at the beginning, it's very kind of like pyramid scheme. You get a coach and then another coach, another coach, another coach.
It's never ending.
Yeah, but now he's all for it, man. He's like, no, the coaches, Victoria, if you want to get another coach, or if you want to buy your coach again or whatever it is, do it. I bought like 5 programs this year just for my own kind of growth. We're here to
Well, it's no different to investing in an education. That's the thing, Victoria, but you're investing in yourself. And again, it's so it can be so tricky when people are like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to university. And I'm like, well, I'll see you in a year then, because it won't shift you. You know, it'll give you some more knowledge, but it won't shift you. And that's the thing, isn't it? That's why we keep seeking, okay, where's that next level? So I just want to ask you, because tell me if I'm wrong here, but you've had these kind of spiritual connections for a long, long time, but it took you a little while to actually really embody it and step into it and speak about it and be seen in that space. Yeah. So tell me what shifted for you going from like, oh, I don't want to talk about this because I might get a bit of pushback to like, yep, I'm all here.
To be completely honest, it was having coaches.
Yeah, I know.
It was having our coach where I know that reading cards, I'm a psychic medium for those who don't know. I'm a channel. I do light language. So I literally, I don't know if you've experienced that, Nicky.
I haven't experienced it. I've watched you guys talk about it. I've seen other people talk about it, but I haven't experienced it. Yeah.
So bringing it through, I mean, I have to have total faith and surrender that I'm going to channel from, and I'm a very practical, logical, I'm a Virgo. Yeah. Like I'm the eldest of 5 kids. I'm like from a family with like a builder and a cleaner, like we get shit done.
Yeah.
So it's like sitting in this woo, and I was brought up religious too. So like add that on top of that. So of course I had so many things against me to instead of just opening up and receiving. And that's what we all have to do. So when I had the empowerment from my own coach saying, hey, you know what? You're really good at the spiritual stuff. I know it's super easy for you, but this is what you need to be doing. I was like, maybe this is my superpower. What do you mean not everybody can pull an oracle card and talk about it for an hour? What do you mean people can't talk to other people's dead grandparents that are coming through or see people's possibilities for their future? And then what I had to do is narrow that down and go, okay, I love reading, but I see too many mediums limiting other people's possibilities by telling them to go down this route or this route, instead of saying these are all possibilities, what feels light and expansive for you. So it's about being the coach that is a psychic medium, or being the coach that has got the capacities, like we all have, to turn them up, because I'm not here to tell people what to do.
Oh, I love it. I think that's such a distinction. I just want to pause on that for a moment, because that's such a strong distinction. So many women will go to a psychic or a medium or a card reader and believe it to be, this is the path, this is the only path. And you were the one that sort of said to me, you know, that's a little bit detrimental sometimes, because then we limit all other possibilities. And I mean, this is what we say as coaches, isn't it? When we set a goal and we say, I'm going to get there by doing this, we limit seeing what else is possible. And I think our human brain finds it hard to do that because we want certainty. But that's why I think you're so special, Vic, because you're like, hey, here's what's coming up, but I don't know, like maybe try it on. Don't make it the truth, make it a possibility. Yes. And that's why it's so empowering, because it's not like, I've done it wrong, the psychic said this would happen and it didn't happen. You know?
I've seen that too many times, and I've had to pick up the pieces way too many times. I'm a 3/5 projector in the human design, so people I can read people very well, but not only that, people feel like they can tell me anything. So I get phone calls going, I went to a psychic medium and they told me I'm doing everything wrong, or they told me I should do this, I told me I should do that. And I'm picking up the pieces for an hour to clean up the mess of the psychic medium who thought she or he knew better. And it's just bullshit. It's not real, because we all have these capacities, but no human being should ever tell another human being what to do. Even in coaching, we're like, this is what I feel you should do. How do you feel about this? Because we've got the spiritual being as well. It's not the mental. Right. So when you go to uni, when you go to coaching school, you go to intuition school. I don't even know if there's a thing like that. When you do these things, and it could be, but it's not about how you should do it. It's how you desire to do it, and not solidifying it. So when you said it's this way, and of course you have to start thinking bigger and going, hang on, what else is possible, rather than solidifying. Solidifying only contracts and makes the possibility smaller, because you're zooming in on that, and then the ego comes in as well.
Yes. Feels really stuck, doesn't it? And I think that is why probably spirituality is confronting for some people, because they may have been around these people that have told them the right and the wrong. And it's like, I believe, and again, this is just my opinion, that those people are coming from a place of they don't feel like they quite know enough, have enough, are worthy enough, so they elevate themselves, yeah? So they make them above you, and you're just not. Like, I'm not above you, I'm not above my clients. It's like I always say to them, I'm in it with you, I'm going through it with you. You know, I just have the skill, and that's all it is. I've trained myself up, and I'm possibly just a little bit ahead in the journey. But I think that's where it gets dangerous in any sort of coaching, actually, where it's like, I'm the oracle, you know, let me tell you what to do, which is what I love about what you're saying is like, hey, here's what's coming through. And when you did that reading with me, Vic, it was like, I got to pick and choose the pieces. So it was like, what? And I got to sort of take some time to interpret, well, what does that mean? Yours was like setting me free. You're free. You don't have to stay here anymore. You can go now, you know, from whatever restrictions I was having. And it was like, oh, okay. And give me some time to sit with that. It wasn't like, you're an idiot for not recognizing this, which is sometimes how it feels when you're working with other coaches. Yeah.
I think that's why people are afraid of coaches. And you asked me before what helped me break through and stuff. I can tell you one of the things holding me back is I didn't pass school. I was a hairdresser for 20 years. The reason why I was a hairdresser is because I'm creative as fuck and good with my hands. So my parents were like, well, you ain't a lawyer, you ain't this, you ain't a university student, go get a trade. So it was very much, and I love my parents, they're amazing, very trade orientated, very creative, all the things. But for me, it was like, well, I'm not from money. I'm never going to have money.
Wow.
I'm dyslexic. Yeah. Like people go constantly, people are trying to correct my English. I don't care. Like, I don't care because I'm now making multiple six figures this year already just by coming into the spiritual element of myself and realizing, like we were saying before this call, you know, duality is a thing. Yeah. I go through shadows. I go through times where I'm feeling emotional and all those things. Well, I'm not above anybody. We don't, as coaches, go, oh, spiritual entrepreneurs go, we've got it, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, exactly. The minute you go, I've got it, you celebrate for 1 minute, and then you're like, oh, no, here comes another shadow.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's also a really important part to speak on as well, is the shadow. So I think, again, you know, we market the possibility, right, as coaches, and as spiritual people, we market what's possible. Because if we marketed it for real and said you're going to go through the trenches, people might not buy it, yeah? But we all go through it. And like you said, the duality of it is that if you don't acknowledge and face the darkness, the shadow part of yourself, however you want to language that as a client, whoever's watching, you won't get the light as well. So that's what we call, and I don't know what you call it, Vic, but I guess it's termed sort of toxic positivity, where it's like, pretend it's fine. And what you resist persists. That emotion will keep coming to you,
Yeah, I think it's about, I always say this is kind of silly, but I say, if you were born and you knew what you were going to like live through, you'd pull back up and go, nah, no.
Yeah.
Are you actually kidding? You wouldn't choose half the things. You probably wouldn't have kids. You probably wouldn't get married. You probably wouldn't have gone for that business. You probably wouldn't even stay. You just go, nah, because we're not
just don't.
Yeah. And but we can't, because we chose to come down here for a reason. We're spirits and we're embodied right now. But so many of us go through this awakening and we go, you know what? Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back to my planet. And I'm like, good for you, but you are here. You chose to be here. So go ground the living daylights out of yourself, embody into your body, because this is what we're here for, and start shining. And it's not going to be comfortable. It's going to be really uncomfortable. And when Donna first said to me, put your spiritual stuff out there, I was like, I was so scared. When I did my first light language channeling, I was absolutely petrified. When I'm scared. I do readings and I'm like shitting myself. And I'm like, oh my God, but you're meant to, because it's meant to be scary. It's meant to be exciting. And I know when I was doing a reading for you, if I remember it correctly, I saw that you were going to be doing energetic and there's the vibration, like a spiritual vibration, whether it comes out physically or not, I don't know, but I could see you working with your clients and shifting their vibration by being in their vibration. And this is what sometimes we don't see unless it's pointed out to us. It's not about what results we say they're going to get. It's about the results that they're getting by being in our vibration, not the backwards and forwards conversation
in our
all
energy
the time.
field. Yeah, absolutely correct. That's true. And even coming to the point now for me where I'm putting a lot of my stuff online and saying, there it is, and then let's play in a less structured space, because I've taught everything. I've taught so much. I've taught everything. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, cool. It's all there. I don't need to play in the logical space anymore. But Vic, that took me a little bit to take on. I was freaking challenged by that. I was like, what do you mean? I'm not quite on my purpose. What do you mean? Like that. But that's what's good about you, is you give the information, you go, cool, cruise it as you see it. Like let it come through as you need it, which I think, and again, I'm assuming here, and if anybody's watching and didn't have this experience, or if it's challenging to you, I think that's why we resist going to coaches and we resist going through some spiritual work, is because we feel like, again, my own perception here, that we have to become this friggin' purple dress wearing crazy crown lady who changes her whole identity, right? And I think that's what we're here to share, is that no, you can be both. You can be you. In fact, be you. Be more of you, yeah? And you can do that through the spiritual work. Yeah.
It's an illusion. But like, so a lot of it's an illusion. I mean, I was brought up religious, and I'm not religious now, but the interesting thing is I manifested Mother Mary the other day. The interesting thing as well is I did a retreat, and I was all like, I want to take my Mother Mary with me, right? Because that's from my grandma, that one. She's like 94. And I was like, I've actually got two of them, and I was like, I want to take it to the retreat. And I was like, no, because, you know, I'm okay with the concept of Mary and Jesus. In fact, they're like some of my guides, right? So, but I'm not religious. I don't go to church or anything like that, because I don't believe in the control and the rules at all, because I see differently. I've received messages. Long story short, I went into this retreat, and the craziest thing happened. My friend who I was doing the retreat with, she was lighting the fire. She's the manager and I'm the projector, so we're the opposites. She does all the work, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know what I was doing, channeling or something. And she was like doing the manual labor of doing the fire, and she goes, oh my God, you know, now that I hang out with you, I see synchronicities and stuff all the time. And look at this. And she gave me a little domino. And on the domino, on the other side of it, I don't have it here, but it was the Virgin Mary and Jesus on this domino. And I went, what the?
Shut up.
I know, and I said, oh my God. And I sat there and I told everybody, there's 18 people at the retreat. I told them about that. And then we played the song Let It Be by the Beatles, and it's got Mother Mary in it, which means his mum, not Mother Mary, but you know what I mean. I've got a Mary on the M for Mary on the back of my neck. And the thing is, it all comes in. It's not one or the other. That's my whole point. And it's like letting all these things come in. What is your belief? What is landing for you? What feels like an expansive? What is your heart saying? Because we don't change. We just become more of ourselves. And that's what I really want to get across, is just because I've made multiple six figures, and I don't say that to, like, when I knew you, when I first met you, I was broke as fuck. When you were like hitting your multiple 5 figures in the month, I was going, oh my God, I'll never be as good as Nicky. Like, and it wasn't comparing, but I just remember going, congratulations on making all that money. Like, wow, if I ever do half of that, I'll be winning. And it's like, you're no different to me. I'm no different to you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? There's no rules, Vic. And that's the thing, is like, you don't have to be either religious or spiritual or, you know, woo-woo or practical. You're all the things, and picking and choosing. And I think, again, I hear this message through various people as well, where it's like, I've forgotten the language around it, but it's basically saying, anyone that's saying to you, this is the path, it's a rejection, because the path is yours. Like, you take the bits and pieces, like you said, you take Mother Mary into the spiritual retreat. There's no rules. And like, as humanity, we've brought on so many rules to ourselves, haven't we, that you have to be one or another or this or that, that's where it can get really restrictive, I think, for people, where there's you have to follow this linear path. And if anything that you've taught me is that there is no linear path. You're playing in all the dimensions all the time.
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah. So at the same time, and the difference between broke Victoria and Victoria that's created money and sold out her programs and has one-to-one clients, stuff like that, there's no difference. The only difference is I know that I'm worthy and I know my value, and I've just like doubled all my prices again because I'm like, oh shit, I can't believe I was charging that amount of money. Like, oh my God, like, and that's why I don't do cheap $80 readings or anything like that. My readings, I think they're going up to like, I don't know, they're doubling at the end of this month. And that's because
of value.
I can't just do a normal reading and talk to your grandma. I do think your grandma might be here though, because I keep saying grandma. This is what happened last time.
I know, right? Yeah,
no, it's your friend. It's your grandma friend. The lady was like, yeah, she's
so for those of you watching, I had a person in our life that wasn't related to us, but was very much a grandmother figure to me. I knew her more than my own grandmother, and she's the one that comes through and shares the gold.
Which I totally forgot about because I forget. But then when I'm in the space, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, she's here. So but for me to do readings on people in the spiritual energy, it's more than a reading. It's about just like a coaching. It's about you being the best expression of yourself, not just getting to your first 10Ks or making your relationship work. It's a holistic approach. I think that's what all coaches, really should be functioning from.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And on that, I was just going to say, when you said that, it's like the reason that you can't do cheap $80 readings is because it's impossible for you not to give everything. So you'll completely wear yourself out. And this is the thing in the entrepreneur space as well, isn't it? Again, the belief that you have to start at this price point and work your way up. It's like, no, because I'm the same. Like when I run programs that have got me in them, you get all of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's impossible for me not to do. So then I cross my own boundaries. Then there's a frustration that happens because it's like, damn it, I said I wouldn't do that, and I've given too much of myself, and blah blah blah. So that's why you've got to match the value to the price tag, which is matching the energetics with the logical, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's never about the fucking money. Sorry.
It's never about the fucking money.
It's never about the money. The minute I stopped dropping that, like I dropped the point of view that it was about money, is the minute I started creating money, because of course money is going to come. It's just the residue of what I do. But what I do is so potent that the universe or God or, source energy, whatever your thing is going, this greater consciousness is going to hear that vibration and reflect it back to you. Just like coaches are doing. Not that we're God, but it's this reflection back of, hey, you asked for some time out, you're going to have it. You asked for some more abundance, you're going to have it. If you're going, I'm just going to, like people say to me, I've put it out there to the universe, and if I get the money, I'll come and do your program. I'm like, see you later. You've already chosen not to do it. Because if you were choosing it, then you'd say, I'm choosing it, I'm going to make it happen. And then the universe goes, oh, she knows what she wants, or he knows what they want. We're going to make sure we can give them that money so they can do this. And I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching. I don't know where that money came from, but I chose it first and then it came. So this is something we don't get taught as children. We get taught to wait, get what you're given instead of going out and getting it.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like you said, just making that energetic decision, stepping into it. This is what's happening. And then the energetic decision, and then I'm open to all possibilities of how that happens, not just one way, right? Not just like, oh, I need to get a raise, or I need to get another client, or I need to, borrow money, or whatever it is. But it's like, okay, cool. I've made it. And it's so true. And I guess that's not something you can teach. It's something you can reflect on people, I think, but I don't know how to explain that. When people ask me that question, and I'm like, it was a decision, something in my body dropped, and you probably know what that feels like for you, and I know what that feels like for me. But I think you can't teach that, but you can reflect it when it's happening to people and tell them, go like, now notice it, because I know that's how it happened for me. Now notice what happened when you felt that, how you showed up, what you were thinking, how you were feeling. That's what created the change, not the plan that you made on paper.
Yeah. It's everything's the opposite of what it seems like. I'm going to give a bath after this, and in that bath I'll manifest. I went to the beach before and I'll manifest. I manifested this ring. It's like it's got an anchor on it. So I went down to the beach just before this call. It was windy, it was hailing, it was crappy weather.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then so I went for a drive and I said to my husband, take me to like a lookout or something. And I hopped out and there was a rainbow and I found this ring just sitting right there, basically in the gutter. And I was like, the universe provides. Yeah. I wanted to receive. I required some, hey, you got this, Vic, you got this. And so that's what I required, some little gifts. And it's a little anchor. And what an anchor means is anchoring down deeply into your why. That is my kind of theme. What is your why? Your why gets you out of bed. Your why helps you on those flat days. Your why gives you the energy in your body. Your why helps you with your emotions and your mind. And I don't know, like I'm just real basic when it comes to coaching and energetics. And if your why is strong enough, then you never give up. You wake up.
And also the path is easy. When you know the why, the path is it's easy to find. Tell me, I want to ask you, Vic, you use the language with me to transmute the energy. Can you explain that for the people that are watching?
Yeah, so energy, it doesn't disappear. So, you know, if we burnt the pencil turns into ash, like it goes back to the earth, wherever it goes. We are all energy. And so we can have anger energy, we can have emotions, we can have joy, we can have all the different feelings and stuff. They're all energy. So what actually happens is when we bring up shadow, I'll just use this as an example.
Yeah.
Bring up shadow and you're like, oh, you're sitting in that, oh, I really don't want to look at this. Everyone has that, by the way. Every single person has that. And it comes up and you're like, oh, this is so heavy and gross and I really don't want to look at this. I'm a fraud. I'm unworthy. You know, I'm a manipulative bitch. Like,
what am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Who do I think I am? If my mum thinks I'm scary, then I must be. That was one of my biggest ones. And then you got to bring up that energy. You got to bring it up and look at it. And then it has to go somewhere. So, I mean, this is just one example. So when I say transmuting it, one of the ways I do it is it's basically transforming the energy. It's Beautiful. Shifting the energy. So I basically let it kind of go into the earth. So I just sit there and I let it drain from my body. If I'm working,
so you visualize that?
Yeah, I feel it. I actually feel it. So you can visualize it. It depends on how you work. Yeah. When I was away on the weekend, I was sitting in Queenstown in New Zealand and I had all these crystal rocks and I was throwing them into the water and I was going, I release control and I release this and I release that. That was another way. So there's multiple ways. Yeah, multiple ways. But we must transmute that energy. So if we've got anger, and you're swallowing that anger.
Which is what most people are taught to do.
Or Nicky, stop it. You know, you have to go to your room type of, you know, the whole reparenting thing as well. Yeah. Then you're swallowing that and you're like, I'm wrong. I'm getting blamed for this. And it just sits there. And if it sits there in the body, it creates dis-ease because we're actually light beings. So we have to let it go. So my son was having a massive tantrum last night. Anger, he's got a defined ego. And so he's just like, because he wasn't allowed to play Xbox. Yeah. And I just said to him, and I was explaining to my husband, it's like we've just fed the monster. We have to let him get the anger out. So I got out the punching gloves and the things, I go, come on, boy. And I was teaching him how to punch. He needs to get the anger out because he's carrying other people's anger for a start. So going to the beach and just transmuting it, allowing it to drain out of your body, allowing the earth to fill you up and nurture you, to know that you're not alone instead of making yourself wrong for bringing up these energies. Another thing is when you're doing energy work, if you're a holistic practitioner and you're watching and you're not cutting cords or having baths or going out, same with coaches, you're not going out and like letting this energy go, then what happens is it locks up. So sometimes people need to burp. Some people need to like let the air out because there's so much energy. So I was burping all weekend. It was so weird.
It is so interesting because I do that when I'm teaching a lot. I'll get a lot of, I'll be like, oh, excuse me. Like, oh my God, I haven't even eaten. Why am I burping so much? But that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So in access consciousness, when they're doing entity clearings and stuff like that, the practitioners are just literally burping all the time. At first you're like,
so interesting.
What? Yeah. So if I don't, I actually messaged my coach one day and I said, I'm getting really bad tummy aches after doing all this energy work. And she goes, yeah, you're just locking in the energy. You're not cutting the cords or shifting it. So after doing all the energy work, that's why I just went to the beach. I had to transmute. I let the wind take it away. I let the earth drain it out. I gave it up. You know, I was like, just let this energy transform. And even with the darker stuff, the shadow stuff, it's going to transmute into the earth and transform. It's not going to stay dark. It shifts. So it's nearly like giving it up to a light, and that transmutes it. Hopefully that makes sense.
That makes so much sense. And the pieces that I want people to notice here, because I think we can be afraid of the quote unquote negative feelings and negative energy, therefore we try and push them away. So when you do that, you keep them, right? So by letting it come up, so I'm a big fan of, I always say with anger, it needs to be physically moved. You can't do it in meditation. You need to physically move it out of your body. So you need to allow it to come up. So that's number one. I think that's number one. And the most important thing is the bit that people get stuck in is, you're right, Vic, as children, we were told not to express that anger. If you see a child having a tantrum, it's looked down upon, when actually it's the fucking healthiest thing you can do, right? So number one is letting it come out. Sorry, I was distracted then, because the other day I said to my son, you know, he got really angry about something and he hurt his foot kicking the wall or something. And I said, did it help to get angry? He goes, yeah. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay then, like, because I think that I would have been in trouble for hurting my foot.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is our reprogramming, our reparenting, and allowing the emotion to come up. So number one, letting it come up, and then knowing that by letting it come up, you're actually allowing it to start to transform into a different energy. And that's the part that you're controlling when you're not letting it come up. Yeah. So I think in its simplest form, if you feel so uncomfortable with emotion or shadow side or sadness or darkness coming up, know that when you do, it is possible then for it to transform into something else. But as long as you don't, it's going to be stuck in your body. Your body's going to respond to it.
Yeah, you got to be willing to release. You've got to be willing to release those attachments that are holding you into that identification of who you think you are and who you're meant to be. And we beat ourselves up because mum and dad or whoever wanted us to be this, because that's what they saw for us, for our highest good. But sometimes we outgrow that, and we can be way more than the expectations. So we have to cut those cords and all those attachments of who we thought we were meant to be. All of us want 2.5 kids in a picket fence.
Yeah, we've been told is the picture.
And it's but what if we don't want that? And what if that doesn't look that way? And that's okay as well. So it's reprogramming that mind. That's why coaches are great, but also it's allowing that release. It's allowing that, like you and I both, with these massive jumps that we've done in our businesses and our pivots and stuff like that. A lot of people won't ever even get to that point because they were too scared. They were too scared to try.
Yeah, so brave.
It is. And if you've got someone holding your hand, not in a codependent sense, but someone saying, like, we've messaged each other before, just going, hey, how's it going? Just need some support. Like, what's up? We're friends. You know, that's not codependency. That's going, hey, I got your back, you got mine. What's up?
Or I know what you're going through, I think, because traveling this path can be lonely when a lot of your friends and family aren't on this path of entrepreneurship or of spirituality. It can feel quite isolating. So having others in the world that are doing it as well, you can go, man, it's tough today, right? Or, man, it's amazing today. And it's,
Or can I just celebrate? You know, I had like a fucking 6-figure or a 5-figure or I'm having massive results for my clients, or, you know, like.
Which other people don't even get. You're like, oh my God, I had the most. And they're like, oh, that's nice.
Because we were taught not to celebrate. And that was the biggest thing, you know, that Donna actually taught me was celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. And she goes, how are you celebrating? I go, by telling you. And she's like, no, how you celebrate? And now I use it with all my clients, because my clients go, what do you mean? I'm like, oh my God, if you don't know how to celebrate, you don't know how to release, you don't know how to receive, then how are you going to grow?
Yeah, exactly. And that was a big, big one that I shifted through in the same way that you did. I remember my first celebration with Donna was like, I bought a new washing machine. She was like, no, that's not a celebration. That's more work for you, honey. Like, that's not a celebration. I had a question, but it's gone out of my head, so that's okay. All right. So I guess the last thing I want to end on, so of course you have a group that you put a lot of value in. So we're going to connect people up with your group. Yeah. But firstly, sort of a lot of my purpose and behind what I do comes from reconnecting women to their inner guidance, because I believe that even from the times of witchcraft, women, their guidance was poo-pooed and shut down and, burnt at the stake, basically. So we're afraid of it, essentially, I think. And so when we have things that are just not logical, that's just our inner guidance, it just makes sense to us. Like, I've had moments, and again, I'm a bit of a ballsy chick. So for me, it's like, fuck you all, I'm doing this, but that's not the case for everybody. So have you got sort of one tip or, I don't know, piece of advice or a piece of guidance around recognizing that inner guidance and stepping into trust?
I think it's listening to your heart. As we go from this 3D paradigm into the 5D, there's also this 4D, of course, and the 4D is that doubt and that control, and there's attachments and stuff. So what we want to be doing is bypassing the brain sometimes and listening to your heart. That doesn't mean that we have to be dumb and go, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to say yes and not feed my children. Like that's just stupid, like, because then it's not heart-based if you're doing that, right? So it has to be in alignment. So you and I are both very strong, dominant energies. Nothing will ever stop us, nothing. We know that, but some people, they don't have as much kind of that dominant energy as us.
That's what they come to us for,
Yeah, because we can say, we've got you, but at the end of the day, if we're listening to our heart, then we're going to be jumping into that 5D a lot easier than with our head. If you've got any type of mind chatter, if you have got insecurities that are going around your head, like, notice what your head is doing. This morning I had voices in my head and I was like, whoa, no way. No way. So I had
to do bitches coming from. Yeah.
I had to do some stuff there and then come back. I drop my head into my heart and open my heart. I work on my heart center and say, what am I choosing? And if money wasn't a thing, if
big question.
Things weren't things. What would I choose? What would I choose? And I just don't believe in limitations. I just believe that we get to choose what we want to choose. So for those people who feel like, oh, we're not as strong as them, we don't have that ballsy kind of energy, like you said, I would say, yeah, but you do have superpowers.
Yeah.
So if you can, if you can help them,
100%.
If you can help them with the inner guidance, is everyone. I just signed up a client today who's coming into my next program, and she's very S energy, mother type archetype, beautiful, but she's transforming the groups, the painting group she's in. Transform is our vibration. That's the power, not just because you and I do it loudly like this
way. Yes, exactly.
Doesn't mean we have to. So listen to your heart. If you've got mind chatter, drop it down into your heart and ask to transmute any energy that no longer serves you. So, and don't be afraid to bring in rituals like looking at a candle, crystals. I used to think that stuff was a waste of time because I'm really like, let's go get it.
Yeah, like hurry up.
Yeah. But right now I'm going to go and have a bath, probably take Mary with me, and the candle and some crystals, and just sit there and celebrate this conversation.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh my God, my mind's working so fast that I keep forgetting my question. Let me just go back. That's what I wanted to just point out for everyone that's watching. The piece that's really, I want you guys to hear in what Victoria just said is that there's not one way to tap into your intuition. So like you were saying, Vic, like you and I do it, we're big and we're loud and we're, we don't speak eloquently. We just say it like as it comes out. Now, I've had this before with clients where they're like, they've been making themselves wrong, or somebody else has made them wrong for not being big and bold enough. It's like, no, because that's just you not being you, so you being calm and observant and centered and thoughtful about your words. If that's who you are, that's how you need to be. Like, we need all of you. Imagine if everyone was like us. Holy fuck, the world would be exhausting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and you're not going to attract the people into your life that you're wanting, whether you're in business or whether you're just wanting friends and a life. I don't know. If you are, most of us are pretending that we're something we're not anyway, because we're still in those projections of what mum and dad thought. But if we really ask the questions, who are we? Like, I've got a black nose ring and a sleeve, and I got a boob job, and I've got pink hair. Like,
saying. You're not like the whole, like, I don't wear makeup or do my hair because I'm with the earth. You're like, nah, bitch, I love this shit.
I'm going to wash my hair. I don't want greasy hair. I want to wash it. I'm going to put on makeup. I actually showed up to a call the other day, one of my memberships, in my onesie because I didn't want to get dressed and I had no makeup on. I'm allowed to be who I want to be. You're allowed to be who you want to be. And if you want to attract the right people in your reality, whether that's lovers or friends or soul clients or whatever it is, you have to be you so they can find you. They've got to find your echo, like you find your light and your vibration. The more you are you, the more you attract the people that require you. And vice versa.
Write that bitch down and put it on a meme. That was good. The more you are you, the more you attract the people who require you. And this is not just for entrepreneurship as well, like you said, for loving relationships, for friendships, for, you know, career-oriented people. You know, the more that you are you, and I think that it's actually more challenging in the career space than in the entrepreneur space because it's less encouraged, but it is still so prevalent. Yeah, so amazing. All right, Vic, well, that is absolutely phenomenal. As always, I could just chat to you, but we'll pull it up there. So tell us what your Facebook group is called and how people can find you, honey.
So everyone can find me on Holistic Energy Shifting. So that's my Facebook group, or Halo Healing is my business group as well. My website is nearly launched. I do have one, but I'm doing a whole new one, which is halohealing.nz. And I've got some pretty cool spiritual stuff on there, programs and all the things as well. So
beautiful. Because I notice about you, Vic, too, you always have something in the air. There's always some kind of program, whether it be a toe dipper or a deep program. There's always something going on. So if people just connect with you, they can get updated on all of that.
Yeah, and there's also my podcast, which you never know. This might end up, people might be listening to this on my podcast. You never know. Release Your Blocks with Victoria Bond. You can find that on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and people are like listening to that every day on their walks. There's tons of stuff on the podcast. It's amazing. And
it is. I love your podcast and I get so much out of it. And it is called Release Your Blocks, and it literally does that. You know, so I know I've messaged you multiple times going, oh my God, your last podcast was amazing. Because again, it falls into just what you need to hear just at the right time, because the universe is always working in your favor.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. This has been so valuable. So for everybody that's watching, if you have any questions for Victoria, either pop them in the comments or pop over to her group, connect with her. It's a whole can of worms that we're opening here with the spiritual realm and with our own intuition. Yeah. So this was a bit of a taster. And thanks again, Vic.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining the Release Your Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a review and tell me what your favorite takeaway from today was. There is so much more from where this came from. You can also find me at Holistic Energy Shifting on Facebook, where you can find more content, more coaching, and more guidance. Have a grand and glorious day, and I'll see you next time.